Hi, Facebook. I'm Kirk Duckwall. Welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Today, we're going to be talking about the psychology of buying a home, how a lot of buyers want to approach this process, and some ways that you may want to reconsider looking at that just through experience. So, are you guys ready to do this?
Yeah,
Make sure
ready
you
to go.
stick around for the after show. Anything that we aren't able to touch on during the main recording, we'll hit up at the end.
Sounds good.
Always some good stuff.
All right, here we go. So many chords. Here we go. Are you thinking about buying or selling a home, or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Preby with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tofson with Country Financial. If you have any questions for us, make sure that you give us a call at 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. You can also check us out online anytime at brickstwincities.com for the latest and greatest home searching and researching tools. Also, follow us on our Facebook page where you can see us record live most Tuesdays around noon, or like today around 2. Today, we're going to be talking about the psychology of buying real estate. This is going to be episode number 2 on this one. We did this almost 2 years ago or so, but I do think it's an important one to talk about as we're getting into the buying season, and it's pretty hot and heavy right now. With
It's getting heavy right now.
yeah,
For January,
Yes, it's been crazy.
feels really heavy.
it is one of the fastest moving January markets I know in my career.
Yeah.
So I'd like to welcome to the studio Joe Schwartzbauer with the Gray Duck team with Bricks Real Estate.
Thank you for having me.
And again, Chad Preby, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It feels good.
So-
Good to be here.
The first thing that I want to hit on right away, Chad, and this is going to come around to some of your experiences, but it's around the fear of getting the pre-approval. I know that in our class we brought this up, and I think we may have talked about it on last week's show, but so often, well, I'm not ready to do that yet. You know, we're not quite there. We're starting to look, but we're not ready. And in my opinion, you're not ready until you do this. Like this is one of the first things you should be doing is starting that pre-approval process and simultaneously talking with your agent, because you can, quote unquote, be ready as you may think, and you start going out shopping and you realize you got pre-approved for the wrong loan for the type of property that you're looking at, and now you miss out on the property that you want because you kind of went about it the shotgun way.
Exactly. Excuse me. I know we talk about this a lot, but, it's never too early to start the process. And, if you're worried about having your credit pulled, then you're probably not ready to start the process. That's the main point is you have to pull your credit. We have to know what's going on. There's things that we look at on your credit that maybe we can help you with. If you have a credit card or a collection that maybe you don't know about that's been hanging around for 10 years, or, some things that we can do to better your situation financially to qualify for that dream home.
So, Chad, how long do your pre-approvals last for?
Good question. So your credit report lasts for 4 months. Okay. Every 4 months we have to repull your credit. That doesn't mean we're going to repull your credit after 4 months, but technically your pre-approval is good forever as long as your job doesn't change. And what I mean by that is your income's not going down. I mean, you can change jobs or have a lateral move, stay in the same industry. The biggest thing is your credit. If your credit doesn't change a lot, your pre-approval is good.
And
just keep in touch with your loan officer.
If your approval expires, how easy is it to get reapproved?
Very easy. It's
Love
just, the key point there is communication with your loan officer and, just making sure everybody's on the same page.
Well, and I know this doesn't apply to everybody's situation, but from what I've seen is that any ding that may happen from an initial credit pull, by the time it's time to pull it again,
Should have recouped that.
It's already
Exactly.
back to where it was.
It's that minor. Yep.
And
Right.
and keep in mind the whole process of that there is actually for notifying if like fraudulent activity might be going on, like somebody's going out and it's a a home loan, 10 credit card applications, a car
Got
loan,
your identity stolen. Yeah.
Right.
right. So it's to raise red flags.
Mhm.
It's not there to hurt you as the home buyer. So the fear of the pre-approval is something you want to get past. If you're truly buying a home and that's your goal, that's one of the first things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you
Yeah.
have to. That's a good point you brought up too, Kirk. Is if your name is similar to your dad's name or someone in your family, a lot of times we pull someone's credit and you find out you have a home equity loan and you don't even own a house, but your dad or maybe your deceased grandfather did, and that never got cleared up. But those types of things, they're easy fixes. But if you don't know about them, or if you're in that shotgun approach where hurry, I need a
Becomes
pre-approval
an
letter,
issue, and now you can't buy that house.
that
Oh
could
yeah, and
slow
that
you
and
down.
that can get very expensive because let's say you go through that pre-qualification,
Oh yeah,
right?
Yep.
Online, you get your letter, you go out, you make an offer on a house, you pay for an inspection, you pay for an appraisal, and then boom, what comes up in underwriting? It's that thing that now needs to get dealt with and could take a while.
Yep.
Right,
And now you might be out a lot of money.
Totally.
close to $1,000.
Yeah. So, okay, kind of moving on to the next thing. And usually this is something that I see happen to buyers after about 2.5, 3 weeks of looking at homes. They say to themselves, "Oh, you know what? I think we're going to save for a while."
Mm.
Right now, one of two things is going on. One, they just really aren't ready. That it's overwhelming,
Yep.
or that they think saving is actually going to help put them in a better position later on down the line. And when somebody actually looks at the reality of the math behind it, is if you're buying in that median sale price range, $280,000, you need to save about $13,000 in 1 year just to break even the next year. Now, if anybody, again, I always invite people that listen to this show, want to discuss these numbers with me more in depth, please reach out. I will show you exactly how you get to that, right?
Mhm.
I can show you properties in the median price range and how they move up every year. And if you don't think that's going to affect individual houses, you're sorely mistaken,
Right.
Right.
right? And at the end of the day, it tends to be more of something that you brought up, Joe, which is people not really thinking about their priorities.
Yes.
Big one.
Right? So what they do is they get the excitement of wanting to go out and buy a house. And they
Mhm.
feel good, they feel happy, they're motivated. And then they start to realize we're going to have to compromise on this.
Yeah.
And they don't like that.
Perfect home is very difficult to find.
Right.
Yes.
And so and I think the way to think about it is if you've bought a home or if you've bought a car in the past, think back to that very first vehicle
Love
that you
the
bought.
analogy.
Did you buy your forever vehicle? The
Nope.
vehicle that's going to haul you and your girlfriend, who's going to become your wife, who then is going to have 2.5 children, a cat and a dog, and then be able to pull an RV when you retire? No, my guess is you got like
You got the sports car. You got the Fiero.
Oh,
you know?
right.
Fiero.
Exactly,
That was a nice
right?
car.
You bought the vehicle that you needed for that period of time.
Mhm.
Right, we just had somebody in our class,
Life changes.
Chad, that brought up that exact question. Well, we'd really like to be here. And it's like, well, how long is it going to take you to get there? Well, we'll need to save for 3 or 4 years. I said, you're going to save for 3 or 4 years, and you're still going to be buying that condo, and here's why,
Yeah.
Right.
right? And so when you show people that it's about getting yourself into something so you can build equity.
Yeah, most definitely. That value right there is going to help them get to where
Right.
they need to be.
Exactly.
I mean, my first house, 3 years. My second house, 3 years. Now I've been in one for going on 7,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Good friends of mine, clients, Carly and Jason, right?
Mhm.
They were 1 year in the first one. They got, the values went up quick. They were able to pocket 20 G's,
Wow.
and then
Must have had a good agent.
I think it was. I don't know. I'm not going to brag. Right, but yeah, they built 20 grand in equity in one place, and then a few years later, and now I think they're rolling close to 40 to 50 into their next place. And yes, it's taken 2 moves, but now they're going into even higher dollar amount, but they're coming forward with 80,000
They're getting
between the
into
two.
what could be possibly a forever home.
Right.
Yeah.
It just
Exactly.
takes a couple steps.
Right.
Now, all of that said, I think it's great if you happen to find a place and it fits within your today home, and then it works out to be your forever home. Great.
Right.
You did that. But
Mhm.
on average, the average person stays in a home for, I think it's like 7 to 8 years.
Yeah, it just went up a little bit actually.
Right. Now, that can be, people staying for their first home 3 years and then their forever home for 21 years versus, right, exactly. So, it's really just getting into that home and getting yourself a place to start not paying rent, start paying down, start building the equity. We have a lot more I want to get into when we get back from our commercial break. Evaluating homes online and home searching tools and all sorts of stuff that will help you as you are approaching this process. If you have any questions for us, give us a call, 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Oh, do you have the pen? Who has the pen? Nobody has a pen.
Nobody has a
Do
pen.
not. There's a pen over here.
Yeah, we'll have to get into some more of this after the show.
I think we
Definitely.
will.
Yeah.
All right. Fear pre-approval, saving money. Okay. So national.
Should we go on to
Sites.
national sites?
Yeah.
Or?
What's this? Local. Finding forever home. So we got that.
Yep.
And okay. Yeah. I think we're good. Ready?
Absolutely.
Usually we get a little extra time because we don't have to do intro on this segment. Here we go. You're listening to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950. If you have any questions for us after the show, thinking about buying or selling a home, or just want to know what might be going on in your neighborhood, give us a call, 651-303-0019, 651-303-0019. Today we're talking about the psychology of buying a home. Have Joe Schwartzbauer with Grey Duck team, Grey Duck Properties.
Thank you.
Yes, with Bricks Real Estate, and Chad Prevey with Bellbank Mortgage in studio. So I want to jump on to, this is perfectly understandable because I do it too. I was actually just out in Denver and we were driving through the mountains and I'm like, oh, I wonder what homes are going for. And what do I pull up? I pull up the national sites.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's easy. It's quick. I know it's going to have at least some of the available homes.
And if you're looking for a very broad idea, it's a great spot to go.
Right.
Right.
And it is sometimes, just useful little tidbits of information. But the key word is some
Yeah.
of the
I mean,
properties.
you weren't looking to actually buy a house out there.
No,
No.
no, just dreaming.
Yep.
just curious.
Not yet. Not yet. At
Not
least.
yet. Yeah, But the thing is that those national sites, it's perceived that because it's the most advertised, because it's well known and people talk about it, means that it's the most accurate.
Right.
And they're not. They aren't, right? And it's not necessarily the faults of the sites anymore. Now, you go back a few years, and it was much more that case, the updating. Now that agents have the choice to put their sites or put their homes, their listings on those sites, right? And there's a fair amount that just don't show up.
Some don't show up there. Some are not the right info. I mean, I've seen the old listing photos
Yes.
show up, that type of deal. Yeah.
Mhm.
So who's responsible to update that? Is that the agent
Well,
that's?
it's a little,
That's a good question.
well,
It's a
so
little bit of a gray area there.
Well, I mean, the MLS is technically somewhat in charge of that because they're the one that's syndicating it out to that site.
well,
Okay.
so yeah, I mean, we put the information in there, and hopefully that information is correct. The problem is sometimes if I see that it's not correct when I go to a national site and I go to edit it, they have firewalls or whatever in place that don't allow me to change it because of that syndication.
Interesting.
And so sometimes it can take days or weeks to
Mhm.
correct. Sometimes I have to call their customer service lines, and they have to go in and hand edit the listings. So I guess what I would say is, I mean, if you're selling out there and you see something that's not correct, call your agent. Your agent can work through getting that adjusted, hopefully.
Definitely.
But from a buyer perspective, you can hear that there's some frustrations
Oh, yeah.
with dealing with these companies, and so just that your agent should have access to sites that have broker reciprocity and are receiving all the listings in a timely fashion. And that's what you want, and
that
updated.
the updated listings that so often that you're a buyer, you're searching for a property, you find it on one of the national portals, it looks beautiful, you dream about it, you call your agent the next day, it's already accepted an offer.
Well, right, well, I call it looking at the wrong homes while the right homes are selling.
Exactly.
Right, that you spend so much time looking at it,
Yep.
sharing it, talking about it, and then to find out that it's not even available. One of the questions that I ask if I have somebody who sends me 5 or 6 homes, hey, here's what we want to see tomorrow, and I start pulling them, and they're all active contingent,
Right.
pending,
Yep.
TNAS.
Looks like we're seeing one house. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully.
It's like, I'll ask the question. I'm not going to automatically assume, but I have a general idea.
Mhm.
And where did you find those?
Exactly.
Right. And then it's reiterating, okay, here's the tools that you want to use. So, and part of the frustration is that, it tends to be because of the perception of the well-known, that if you show a site that is a local site that doesn't have something that's showing up, that now your site is the wrong one, or
Yes.
your recommended site is the wrong one, and the other one's the right. And that's actually the opposite.
Complete
The-
opposite.
right. Because of that broker reciprocity, no,
Mhm.
it's the national one that's wrong.
Right. It's tough for people to understand
Yeah.
that because they're seeing a property on one, it says it's available, and then it's
Right.
not showing up on your site.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a
Don't
video that I
understand it.
text out to people where it's a screen capture, and it's showing simultaneously like 3 properties, one that's not showing up, but it's showing up on the MLS portal,
Right.
and then another that sold like 2 years ago,
Right.
and then another that already has an accepted offer, and
Yep.
it's just like, here you go. This is
No,
what you're dealing
Perfect example.
Well, the average consumer doesn't understand that.
with. No, they don't, and that's like I say, it's understandable. This is what we see online, but
Right.
you do, when you become that educated buyer, you want to make sure you're making that switch when it's really the time to be using.
And how
the
would someone
tools.
become an educated buyer? Could they go to publications at Bricks Twin Cities?
And find a book called The Smart Home
Probably
Buyer.
a great place to go.
Highly recommended. Highly
Yes,
recommended.
brickstwincities.com under publications, The Smart Home Buyer book. If you're watching this on Facebook, we're going to put a link below.
Mhm.
And I know we keep talking about it. Smart Seller book is done with editing. It's
Nice.
out for graphic design. Crossing my fingers in a week or so, and we'll have that. So any sellers out there, this is that same, super in-depth educational guide to not only the process, but maximizing your sale price.
Love it.
Okay. Let's see here. Here's a classic one. Trying to determine the value before you ever even get your
How
eyes
how
on.
low of a offer could we submit
Yeah,
here?
can we
Yeah.
let's lowball this offer.
Well, I know one of the things we talk about in the buying class is, are you going to go up to the grandma selling the sports car for $500 with a line of people behind you and say, I'll give you, and she's selling it for $500. Are you going to say, I'll give you 4?
Right.
Or are you going to tell her, I'll give you 7?
Right. Let's just get this done.
Let's
Yeah.
get this
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't determine value until you get your eyes on the property. I mean, there's some basic stuff you can get your head around what's the values of the neighborhood.
Right.
But to really figure out, I mean, prime example, looked at this one over in Bloomington about a month or so ago, and everything said it should be a $450,000 home, but they were asking $299. My opinion, 200.
Wow.
Right? House needed to go to the ground.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the foundation was completely shot,
Hmm.
and it had a lot of other problems. So, I couldn't have known any of that until
You got there and actually understood the home.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And one of the things too, I think, when you get to the home is you have to look at the home for what it really is and what work is really necessary.
Yes.
Your emotions want to tell you that the scuffed paint and the pet smell and the dirty carpet and the cabinetry that's getting some worn varnish on it, your gut check is going to be like, I need to gut it. I need to just rip everything out.
Right.
In all reality,
Good cleaning goes a long ways. Paint's cheap. You
Yeah.
change a house
and 96 cent a square foot carpet can help a lot.
with a good pad.
Yes.
Good bad. Key.
Well, right. I mean, it's what is the work that's really needed here? I
Right.
mean, sometimes it's just cleaning out the person's stuff.
Mhm.
The house itself is fine,
How often is it you're showing a buyer a property and the neighbor's house sticks out like a sore thumb? Maybe we have 10 cars in the garage, plus the front yard. Maybe
Yeah,
we
1
got
in 8.
3 or 4 different
It,
parking
it,
garages.
happen- yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
happens fairly often.
So that's obviously a
I-
turn away. For
I
most
recommend
people.
my buyers, if you are going to write an offer, if we're at that house and we're walking through, I say go knock on the neighbors' doors.
Very good.
That's one of the biggest things that you can't figure out a lot of times prior to owning is who are your neighbors?
Right.
Yeah, go knock on the door, see who answers, talk to them.
I like that.
Got 2 minutes left here, so I want to make sure we hit on
Yes.
this one. And then anybody, again, on Facebook watching, stick around for the after show. But it is getting your offer submitted.
Oh, it's just so important.
Right. If you're thinking to yourself, your brain's telling you, well, I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to check this, and I have to get the inspection, I have to have my dad come out and look at it, I need this before I write the offer, you're looking at exactly the opposite of the way you want to
Someone
do the
else
process.
is going to write an offer,
Yeah.
they're going to get it, and you're not going to have an
And you're going to
opportunity.
spend a bunch of time and maybe money
Yes.
and other people's time.
Yep.
The key is, what was your line? Is
the-
give yourself the
You
option to
need
walk
the
away.
opportunity to walk away from the home, which means winning, which means getting your offer out there.
Right. If you can't get your offer out and accepted, you have no
Yeah.
basis of
There's
making
a
what you
0% chance.
Right. There's a 0% chance. Yeah. I mean, people will ponder on their offer so often, long enough where it gives enough time. And I had a client, same
Put
thing.
it
I
into
tried.
multiples, and now
Yep.
the price goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not about making a rash decision or anything like that, but you feel it when you walk into a home. Most 99% of buyers that I work with, they walk in and they know.
Yeah. That's it. You're gonna know if you're there. Like I say, if you're 70% there, make that offer and get yourself into the contingencies. Okay. If you have any questions for us, give us a call, 651-303-0019. We'll see you next week.
All right.
After show time.
Good
Yeah.
show.
Okay. Yeah, so on that note, the cosmetic deficiencies, the smells or whatever, another one that comes up a lot, and especially when you're talking about first ring suburbs city, is old is bad.
No,
Right,
old's not
right,
bad.
right.
Difference
Now-
between what is it? Adam always talks about it. Difference between the usable life of a home and the actual life of the home. Something
Right.
along those lines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's so. The idea is, I mean, I'm sure I can pull at some people's heartstrings. Do you like Victorians? Do
Mhm.
you like Craftsmans?
Mhm.
Guess what? They're old.
Right.
Okay, so that said, you're gonna see old home things in there.
Mhm.
If you were to
Little
go,
functional obsolescence.
well, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have maybe the sticky single pane windows. You're gonna have maybe lower insulation
Small
levels,
rooms.
smaller
Lots of
rooms.
walls. No open concept.
Yeah, maybe an ancient boiler
Yeah.
that's still running fine.
Big old octopus in the basement.
Exactly. So, well, and what it comes down to, and there are lines. I'm not saying that if there's a problem or there truly is very limited time left, because you could see the conditional issue with it. But just like if you were to go out and buy a 1969 Mustang, you're not going to say, well, the engine's old.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what? And then same hand, not only do I want
Where's
you
the
to
power windows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
not only
Where's
do I
the
want you to
seatbelts?
not only do I want you to replace it, but you know what? I want a V8 and fuel injected.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Good
So
luck.
so there's now that said, if you're buying that classic car and you're paying full price, if a couple of the cylinders aren't firing, okay,
Mhm.
now you have a problem,
Right.
And now there's something to talk about. But just because something is old does not mean it's bad.
And some of the older homes, I think, are built better than some of the newer homes.
I would agree on that.
Like some of the older
Yeah.
furnaces are built better than
Yeah,
some of the newer furnaces.
Now the ones they make
Right.
now are only meant to last 15, years
They don't
tops
want 'em
almost.
going for 30
Exactly, then you
years,
can
'cause
sell
they're
'em
not
another
rebellion.
one.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean that's a huge one because you get the property, you like the property, you get it at the price, you locked it in, and I will say that I think a lot of inspectors don't have the discussion with their clients about, okay, the average life for a furnace is X, but one that's well maintained, such as this, could go for X longer. It
Yes.
tends to be more of, well, the average life is X.
Yep.
Right?
Hey, my
Great-
my
that's a great
boiler
point.
is the same boiler that was put in the house in 1961.
I-
It is still
I'm with
going
you on that.
just
So
fine.
is
Yeah.
ours.
Yeah.
64
Yeah.
on mine.
Totally.
Yeah.
But we do get it serviced.
So
you
we
know,
get it
ev-
serviced every
year.
single year. They
Yep.
always tell us this thing's just getting warmed up. It could
Yeah.
go another 50, 60 years. Yeah.
But it's because you take care of it, right? It's part of
Exactly.
home ownership is you take care of what you have.
Yep.
Well, and boilers, I mean, boilers go.
A long time.
Yeah.
There's just
Oh,
less moving parts. And the
Exactly.
cost for us to replace it far outweighs what our savings would be monthly on efficiency.
For
It
sure.
doesn't make sense.
And you know, for those that are doubting what I'm saying, we brought in Mike Vito Mechanical, and he attested to everything we're talking about on the show here. As far as there are some really cheap brand furnaces that they might have problems after 15 years, but a lot of your big ones, your Lennox, your Carriers, your Amanas, and there's many more to go.
Right.
They're gonna go 30.
I would
At
love
least.
a list too, because isn't a Goodman actually the
An Amana?
same as an
Amana,
Amana?
yeah,
or is
I
it
believe so.
Train? I know
I thought it was
most-
Amana.
It could be. I know a lot of the big
Yeah.
manufacturers, they're going to basically just throw a different label on it, and it's going to be their lower end model, but it's the same.
Well, yeah, and a lot of your
units.
local
right.
contractors have the ones that,
What,
that
day and night.
well they have the sticker and it's their own company name that's on
Right.
there, right? And
Right.
it's they're just buying them from the big
Yes.
companies.
Yep, it's white labeling basically.
So
Same product, different label.
Yep.
yeah. So okay, let's see here. We talked about the Forever home.
Evaluating a home from its pictures. That's
Oh, yes,
so many
I
people
like
do
that
that.
one. That is
Yeah.
so big.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look at a home online, you're making perceptions of it. What is that home worth before you ever step in the door? And you say it all the time. Pictures tell 1,000 lies, and it's
Right.
just it's so true that you see everything about it. All these photos are taken with wide-angle lenses. They are all filtered. They all look most of the time better in the pictures if it's a good photography company than they do in person.
Or vice versa.
Or vice
that
versa,
If
exactly.
it's an old cell phone, it'll look
Yes.
better in person.
Yeah, hurry up, run on, and take a look at that property because it probably actually looks good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should get
Um,
by.
Well, and tell me, Joe, I mean, this line. Oh my gosh, Joe, we got to go out and check out this home right now. It just came on the market a few days ago. It looks absolutely amazing. I know this is the one for me.
Yep.
What's the chances of it being the one for them?
It's about 2%.
So 98% of the time, you're
Yep.
going to go out and it's not going to be.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the pictures tell 1,000 lies.
The pictures are only going to show the best parts of the property.
Mhm.
They're not going to show whatever the detriments are, basically.
Well, I think getting into the psychology is this is an exciting process, and there are times to be excited. But in my opinion, when you're online, be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful about setting
Don't
your
get ahead of yourself.
right, because sometimes what can happen, I've seen this happen. They get so excited about a property, and it is a good property, but it's just not as good as they got excited about.
Right.
So then they end up going there with a different perception when it actually
It's actually the right home for them.
Yeah.
It does. You're right. It does make sense. It checks all their boxes.
Yeah.
They just thought it was better than it was, but it does fit their needs.
right.
Yeah. So,
So-
now they're not as impressed with it. Now, they
Right.
may not want to
So
move forward
I mean,
on it.
honestly, when I look, like I'm going to look at one tonight for a client, first of all, it doesn't do me a whole lot of good to do a whole lot of investigating before I look at a house.
We
right?
don't have time to do that
For every
actually.
house,
Right. I
right?
can't run numbers on every home that
right.
we're just going
well,
to take a look at.
and what's going to happen if you run numbers and then you get there and you realize the roof is old?
Right.
Right now everything you've done has just changed. Or
Yes.
what if it looks occupied when you're there and then you get there and you realize they're completely moved out?
There you go.
Now everything has changed again,
Mhm.
right? So doing it ahead of time really does no good.
Right.
So when I look at a home online, I pull the satellite view just to see, are we backing up to highway, railroad tracks? Are we on a busy road?
Always good.
Right?
Mhm.
Just a quick check of the satellite view for major objections.
Yes.
Or
Saves your buyer a ton of time.
or a
Right.
postage stamp lot. That's
Yeah.
something you run into
Yep.
around here. So I look at that first. I will do the quick look of beds, baths, room sizes. Hey, is there? And I actually had a client. We absolutely just completely skipped the house because I said to them, I'm like, you realize there's one bedroom on each level,
Ugh.
right? That's
No.
it. There's no two bedrooms on one level. And they're like, oh, right.
Next.
And they loved it online,
Yep.
but they didn't look at that piece. So I checked that real quick, and then I spend all of about 5 seconds looking at pictures. It's just like tick 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 tick
Oh,
tick
yeah.
tick 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 tick. Okay, that's all I'm trying to do is like finished basement, possible finished basement,
Mhm.
just general conditions, right?
It's a house.
It's a house, right? Because the rest of it I'm going to learn when I'm there.
Totally.
And honestly, if you bring that, Jeremy and Molly, who we were working with, they had that same. They were kind of really getting excited about houses, and it was kind of disappointment. I said,
Mhm.
you could look at the front photo. You don't even need to look at the others.
Leave
honestly,
leave your perceptions in the car.
right?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, exactly. Go into that house open-minded to
Mhm.
see what you actually see.
Right.
And that's going to allow you to see all the possibilities
Mhm.
and truly the likes and dislikes versus whatever that was presented online.
Right.
Yeah, we all present our homes, in the best light possible. That's what the job of a listing agent is.
And what do they
Yes,
say too? Like,
And there's a
clutter-
problem if your agent isn't presenting the home in
Right.
the best light
Yeah,
possible.
exactly.
And what do they say? What do we say in our seminar? Cluttered rooms, or
Cluttered.
cosmetic-
Well, right. That the effect of a cluttered room in a picture and an empty room in a picture actually can be the same.
Totally.
They both can look small.
Yeah,
Right,
definitely.
Right.
Right? So all of that can be, mess with your head. Yeah, and we touched on this a little bit with when we walk through the home. When you're there at the house, that's a time where you can maybe start going, hey, okay, so it's been on the market X amount of time, and they're moved out, right? Or moving out.
Yep.
Like you can start
Maybe
to
they
figure.
want to sell quickly.
Right.
Maybe they're in a
Job
need to sell
transfer,
issue. Yeah.
Estate situation.
Yeah, I actually just had one with a client. 15 under is what we did. And got
Nice.
it right away.
Nice.
Yep.
Wow. Congratulations.
So, yeah, I think that about covers it. You
Yeah,
got
that's
anything
very
else?
good.
It's a good show.
All right. Thanks for hanging around, people on Facebook.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Check us
everybody.
out next week when we're probably going to do psychology of selling
There you
a
go.
home.
Love it.
Awesome.
All right. See ya.
Have a good day.